Hi everybody, it's Caroline here. Welcome back to Mindful Memory Keeping Abundance, and in this lesson we're going to be focusing on the abundance in our relationships. I have a beautiful photo of my daughter taken on her 17th birthday. I'm actually in the photo, you just can't see me. I'm holding up her helium balloon so that she's got her butterfly wings behind her, and this is sized outside the page protector size at 8.25 high, and I actually print mine at 6.65 wide, and that's in inches, and this is going to sit inside her 6x8 story album. I've been creating story albums for her for quite a few years now. This is going to orientate on the left hand side of a double page spread. I will be punching some holes here so this can just sit directly into the album with a little bit of embellishment there, and I'm going to be pairing this with this, again outside the page protector sized paper. This is from an Ali Edwards story kit. Again, as I've said before, I'm going to be using the abundance of my stash in this workshop as well, and I have a basket full of unopened Ali Edwards products, so I'm pulling in some of those for this project. My intention is to cut these kind of pie pieces so that they flip up, and then I'll hide a photo underneath them and then put on the top 4 of the things that Alora is currently loving. I'm encouraging people to get other people's voices into their stories, onto their layouts projects in this lesson. So what I have actually done is I've cut some copier paper at the size of each of these. So I've got 4 of those. I've already asked Alora for 4 things, the top 4 things that she's loving at the moment, and she's already sent me those via a text message. So I know what my titles are going to be for each of these quadrants, but then I'm going to give her these slips of paper and ask her to just write a little bit about each thing and why she's loving that at the moment. Then when I've created these flip ups, I will adhere these to the inside of the flip up, and then hopefully have a photograph underneath of each of those 4 things, or something that represents each of those 4 things. So that is my plan for this one. It should come together quite quickly. I'm not going to do a lot of embellishment, certainly on this side, just maybe a little bit of embellishment there on the photo. It's a gorgeous photo. I don't want to overshadow it with lots of embellishment, and there's going to be quite a lot going on underneath here. So again, just going to keep things nice and simple, and put this one together. So feel free to just watch or scrap along as we go, and I'll put things onto fast forward and voiceover and take you along. Okay, so off camera I have punched my holes on my photo and on my pattern paper, and I have also cut each of these quadrants so that 2 sides are cut out, and there is a 3rd side that is left as a flap. I didn't cut them out quite as neatly as I would have liked. My craft knife was a little bit blunter than I had thought it was, and so it's a little bit jagged on the edges, but I'm just going to go with it. And I've printed out 4 photos to represent the 4 things that Alora is currently loving, and these are sized at 3.25 inches squared, and I'm just orientating them so that if there's a person in there, that I don't cut their head off or anything like that. And it doesn't matter that there's a little bit kind of overlapping, and for another flap or the edge of the page, I'm going to cut all of those off in a moment. Now this was a little bit more fiddly than I was hoping it would be, so I did cut a lot of that out, and here I'm just showing you what it looks like once I've got those 4 photos underneath. The kind of cross of paper that is holding everything together is a little bit torn in the centre, so I'm going to make sure I stick an embellishment on that, and I've tried to round off the edges as much as I can, but that's what things look like with those photos underneath, again orientated in the best way possible. And I'm going to bring over a couple of chipboard embellishments from this kit. There's 2 hearts that just layer up. I'm going to adhere those down. I might put a little bit of stitching just as a pretty effect rather than to hold them on, just tacking things down with my normal adhesive, which will be absolutely fine. It sticks really, really well, keeping things nice and simple, so that the big photo and the extra photos underneath really are the point, and they're the kind of showcase of the spread. By focusing in on the 4 things that Alora is loving the most at the moment, I've kind of shifted my focus a little bit. Relationships was the jumping off point, so I knew that I wanted to focus in on our relationship, but I've kind of shifted things that little bit, and I'm looking at the things that she is grateful for at the moment, so those things that are making her life feel really abundant. And I'm never going to know what those things are. I can always presume or assume that I know, but unless I actually ask her, I'm not going to know. And I was pretty right right with the things that she put down, but I think I got one wasn't quite right. So it's always good to ask that question rather than assuming that you know from somebody else's perspective. I'm just bringing in a sheet of puffy stickers from my stash, which will cover up that little tear that I've got in a little moment, but I'm going to work first on my titles. So I've pulled in some Doodlebug alphas to put a title on each of these quadrants, which matches the photo underneath. I'm also going to go in here with word phrase stickers from the kit and just embellish each of the photos with a phrase or a sentiment that really helps to match. It matches my thoughts on Alora's 4 things, and then I will be getting the journaling from her in a moment. You'll see exactly how I'm going to capture that, but I'm really liking the way this looks. I was toying with the idea of a white font. I know the black does look quite stark, but because I am using the black word phrase stickers as some of my embellishments, I wanted to bring that black, that stronger colour over onto the right hand side, and I think it looks really good. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. Now, one thing I haven't done with this spread, which I could do, or I could go back in and do at a later date, is to put my thoughts on each of these 4 things. So underneath the flap, there's going to be that cut out piece of paper, which I showed you earlier, that will have Alora's writing on, her actual writing on there. I could then add an insert or even a tag that is tucked behind this page and talk a little bit about my thoughts and my feelings about the things that she has written and the things that she's chosen. Even write a letter to her that gets tucked behind. So that is something you can do if you want to go that little bit deeper into the relationship aspect rather than just about the abundant aspect. And that is something that I might consider in the future, and maybe write a little letter and tuck it in between here. Here I'm just showing that I'm going to put a little prompt, stamped a little prompt onto each of those pieces, just so that they're a little bit more interesting. Those will get stuck underneath, and then I will trim off the excess, because these were originally kind of traced from the piece of paper before I cut them out, so there's a little bit of excess on each one of them. So I will adhere those down and then I will stick them in. You'll see I've added 3 puffy hearts and also that word phrase sticker and the date stamp on the bottom right of the right hand page, and I absolutely love this page. I love the big visual photo. I love the little photos underneath. I love the fact that I'm going to get Alora's handwriting in here. I haven't actually had her handwriting on anything for a while, so really happy with this. All coming about from contemplating the abundance in our relationship at this time, and also the abundance in her life. So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and let's move on to the next one.